See, Jesus said, to whom much is given, much will be demanded. To whom much is given, much will be required. Folks, you've been given much. You've been given much. To you Wake Forest fans, you're living in the Bible Belt of America, 21st century. To you Pitt fans, living up in Pennsylvania, living here in the 21st century, you have cars and planes and boats and all ways to travel the world and tell people about Jesus. You have the internet, you have television, radio, all the different ways you can learn about Jesus, all the different ways that you can tell people about Jesus, all the different ways that you can serve God and tell others the good news of salvation through Jesus Christ. Each and every one of you have been given talents and abilities that no one else has, and you're required to use them properly for the cause of Christ. And you've only been given a certain amount of time. You don't know. You might live 20 years, you might live 80, 95 years on this planet. You don't know. But you've been given a certain amount of time and talents and abilities. Yeah, that's where you're going, straight down if you die as an unrepentant sinner. You've been given talents and abilities that you are required to use. And if you're not using them, Jesus Christ will say, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you. Jesus gave you parables about what you're to do with what you're given. He gave three servants, differing amounts of money, and told them here, I'm putting you in charge of these small things. I'm going away on a journey. And when he returned, two of the servants had doubled the money, and he said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. I put you in charge of a few things. Now I'm going to put you in charge of 5 cities or 10 cities in my kingdom. I'm coming back to be a king, and you get to be in charge of 5 cities or 10 cities because you used what I gave you properly. But another servant just took what he had and just hid it in the dirt, just buried it in the ground, and then when his master returned, brushed the dirt off of it and said, here's what you gave me, and did nothing with it. And Jesus tells us in that parable, he said, you wicked servant, take the money away from him and send him out into outer darkness. There's weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. Now that describes you. You've got to use your talents and abilities for the cause of Christ. You'll be accountable. You're going to be accountable on Judgment Day for how you used every day of your life, how you used the talents and abilities God gave you. When you are watching the football game tonight, when you guys watch the football game tonight, I guarantee you Pitt fans do not want to watch your quarterback take a snap, take a few steps back, and then just kind of toss the ball onto the ground and walk away. You Wake Forest fans, you don't want to watch your running back get the ball pitched to him, and then he just kind of runs over to the sideline and goes out of bounds, loses 5 yards, doesn't even try. Do you want to watch your cornerbacks and your safeties on defense just kind of jog after the receivers, let them get past them for a long bomb touchdown? No. Can you imagine what it would be like watching your football heroes here? Whether you're a Pitt fan or a Wake Forest fan, you come here expecting your players to play to the peak of their ability. You come here and pay big money. You travel long distances, pay big money just for parking, let alone tickets and everything else. Pay big money, invest your time to watch your athletes perform at the peak of their ability, the talent. But to watch, can you imagine? Imagine your running back. Imagine your running back just kind of taking the ball and just kind of dropping it on the ground and walking away. He gets the ball handed off to him and just sits down and loses 4 yards and gets tackled. Can you imagine? You would boo and scream and probably storm the field or walk out in disgust. You couldn't stand it. You wouldn't be able to stand it if your football players on your team, if the team you're rooting for, put forth a crappy effort. You couldn't stand it if your team and the individual players had so much talent and so much ability and just went out there tonight and just jogged around and said my heart's not in it, sat down, and nobody even took the field. Your whole team just stays on the bench and nobody takes the field. They just got maybe one guy goes out there and snaps the ball to himself. You couldn't stand it if your team put forth forth that crappy of an effort. But that's what you're doing. That's how Jesus Christ is watching you from the stands. Jesus Christ watching you from the stands, and he wants to see, what are you going to do with your talents? What are you going to do with your abilities? What are you going to do today and tomorrow and the next one for the cause of Christ? What are you going to do? You're putting forth really lousy effort. You're putting forth really lousy effort for the cause of Christ. How much time this week alone, how much time have you just wasted and frittered away on things that have no eternal value? How much time have you wasted just listening to secular music, just watching pointless movies, watching something on Netflix that you've already seen 6 or 7 times before, and you just watch it again over and over? How much time have you wasted just this week and done nothing for the cause of Christ? What a shame. What a shame it would be. What a shame it would be, because, the Bible tells us that when, even if you do end up getting to heaven, even for those who go to the Bema seat, right? Even those who die as a Christian, and you go to the Bema seat of Christ, that judgment for Christians, how much of the work that you've done all your life will just burn up as hay and straw and stubble? How much? Yeah, you're not ending up in God's kingdom. You better change big time. You're not going to enjoy hell. You had your chance. To let tonight be the night of salvation for you. Let tonight be the night of salvation. But even if you die as a Christian, just think about it. How much of your works were just frivolous wastes of time? Imagine you put this humongous pile of all the things you did all your life before Jesus Christ. And there's a refiner's fire that tests the works that you've done all of your life. All the things that you did in your life. A big dump truck comes and it dumps a huge dump truck load right at the foot of Jesus Christ of all the things you did all of your life. And then Jesus comes and he puts the refiner's fire to it, and poof, 99.9% of it goes up in a puff of smoke. And there's just this tiny little globule of something good you did for Jesus Christ during your life. And that's for people who end up in heaven. How much? What a shame it would be. You had a dump truck load of works you did all of your life, but 99.9% of it was frivolous nonsense that meant nothing. But what you need are things that can go through Jesus Christ's refining fire and be gold and silver and precious stones and gems. That's what you should be working for. Just like you want your players to give it their best. You want your quarterback who has a talented arm, a strong, talented, accurate arm, to use it to complete passes. You want to see him do great works today. You want your safeties and your cornerbacks, your secondary, to be faster and sharper and smarter than the receivers and intercept the pass and block the pass and be so well guarded that they can't even get a pass thrown to them. You don't want to see your players giving half-hearted or worthless measures. But that's what you give to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Jesus Christ is more important than this football game. You